At the beginning, they felt like lawyers very expensive. So they try to, get everything done by themselves. And, once they already established their team, um, their products, then at the time they try to looking for financing, that's the time they usually start looking for lawyers. My own advice is get your lawyer at the beginning, like even before you set up your company. The main reason is, especially in the venture world, in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of things to pay attention to before you even set up your company.
Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. Ruming Liu is a founding partner at MagStone Law, a boutique corporate firm headquartered in Silicon Valley with offices in New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, and Singapore. The firm focuses on venture financing, mergers and acquisitions, fund formation, and IPO work, along with IP prosecution, trademark applications, and real estate. What makes MagStone distinctive is its positioning at the intersection of startup culture and cross-border complexity. Every attorney at the firm speaks at least 2 to 3 languages, and their clientele spans founders and companies from across Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. In this conversation, Ruming shares what startup founders consistently get wrong about when to engage legal counsel, how our firm is navigating AI tools like Claude and Harvey while maintaining the verification standards the profession demands, and why she believes the real value of AI for experienced lawyers is not replacing judgment, but eliminating the tedious work that keeps them from applying their judgment where it matters most. Let's dive in. Hi, welcome back to the Main Street AI podcast. This is Stephen Whittier with Satori Coach IO, and today I'm joined by Ruming Liu, who's a partner at MagStone Law. Ruming, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks for allowing me.
Oh,
Hi,
absolutely.
everyone.
So please go ahead, just jump in and tell us about what you do, your firm from a high level.
Yeah, my main practice is venture financing and mergers and acquisitions. So I'm the founding partner of MagStone Law. We are a boutique firm established back in 2013. We headquartered in Silicon Valley, but we also have office in New York, New Jersey, Singapore, and now Los Angeles. Our main practice is general corporate, venture financing, fund formation, de-SPAC, IPO stuff. But we also have our IP department helping clients on the patent prosecution, trademark application, and we have a real estate practice as well.
Great. So it sounds like a lot of entities. Do you have a particular? You mentioned Singapore. Do you have a particular specialty with connecting businesses between, say, U.S. and Singapore?
We have a partner residing in Singapore. So that's the main connection. So if we have like cross-border deals relating to Singapore, so she will be a local, colleague that can facilitate the transaction.
Great. One question I like to ask, so often when I speak to attorneys, what comes up is things that they wish that their clientele would know proactively. So for someone who isn't an attorney on your side of the table, what are things that people tend to maybe underestimate or even misunderstand about the work that you do that you would like them to know?
Good question. I think most of our clients are, startup founders, who's expecting to raise fund and grow their company. At the beginning, they felt like lawyers very expensive. So they try to get everything done by themselves. And, once they already established their team, their products, then at the time they try to looking for financing, that's the time they usually start looking for lawyers. my own advice is get your lawyer at the beginning, like even before you set up your company. The main reason is, especially in the venture world, in Silicon Valley, there's a lot of things to pay attention to before you even set up your company. What's your strategy? Like whether you are still working with your former employer, and what's your plan with your funding partners, how you wanted to set up your team, how much shares you wanted to give up to your initial employees, how to set up a company, where to set up the company, what should I pay attention to? There's a lot of practice, experience, or wisdom that you can share or with your lawyers. Talk to them. Probably just an hour call that resolve a lot of problems and give you a head what you should have expected and what should you pay attention to. Before I have a lot of lessons, the entrepreneur learned during the process, later on. For example, they've already set up the company, they already distributed the shares, and all of a sudden, one of their founders have personal reason to left the company and refuse to, return their shares. And the company already started in a good size. So how to, deal with those kind of founder problems. But if you get in touch with a lawyer at the very beginning, you probably have everything set up. It's just a very easy process the company can just take and resolve the potential dispute.
Right. Yeah, what you're saying reminds me of a recent conversation I was having about how much more costly it is to not have the attorney who isn't just helping you to get the formation of your company done, but is actually advising you on things that you wouldn't even know. And one of the points I was making, just from business not being on your side of the table, is that, say somebody's trying to get from 0 to 1 million. Well, that's a completely, this is like a bootstrapped entrepreneur, but that's a completely different skill set. That's like a very do-it-yourself type of skill set in a lot of cases. But then if you want to grow from, for instance, 1 million to 5 or something like that, those are completely different skill sets. So looking out ahead of that and knowing that, I'm just going to figure everything out myself is not what you want to be, not the place you want to be thinking if you're looking for growth. And that's where, someone like yourself comes in.
I think, everybody only have certain area they are the expertise. So listen to more people in their field that you're a lot of things heads up, then you're much more prepared before you start a business. This is especially true for cross-border founders. If they go to a new jurisdiction, they take a granted for a lot of things they already learned from their own jurisdiction. And each country, they have different laws. So you don't expect one lawyer going to know at all. So they consult with their lawyers they know in their jurisdiction of a U.S. law, which is, will be a very different experience, and they could mislead. They could be misled. So it's important when you wanted to set your foot in a different jurisdiction, ask a local lawyer first and get prepared.
Yes, absolutely. Our core theme here is AI. Obviously, you're seeing where emerging technology is going, not only from the entrepreneurial domain for people that you represent, but also within your own legal domain. What are the sort of trends that you're seeing? How are you thinking about it or even potentially using it?
Different perspective. I think, AI indeed changed not only, actually most of the professionals' work. They speed up, the process of the tedious part. For example, you already know what you're going to write, and now you can write much faster. On the other hand, AI could seriously mislead people who don't really know. I think it's a good tool if you already have a very comprehensive knowledge or framework knowledge to this area. And if you use AI, it could be facilitate you expanding your knowledge edge and help you to get things quicker. On the other hand, it could mislead a person who don't really have much experience in that field. They just newly learn something and they got shocked. Oh, wait, is that going to apply to my case? And sometimes, for example, nowadays it's a trend. Like almost all the clients, before they ask a lawyer, they already ran the ChatGPT or the AI tools. They cross-check with you. The good thing is that they already have some knowledge. The bad things is could make their legal fee higher. And the thing is, when lawyer, we also do use AI. If you don't use the AI, you are already out. But the way we use AI is we have to verify, because with this profession, that means whatever you say, you have to take responsibility for it. So although I take a look at the AI result, the most important is we verify it. We base on our knowledge. We only get things faster, but whatever I say in writing, it has to be accurate and correct in law. So we have that internal process. But if the client get our draft, for example, they're gonna come back. I already ran the AI. We found like 10 issues. Can you cross-check and make sure like your draft is already resolved issue? But oftentimes we found that it's like redundant because they don't know how to ask questions, and turned out to be the result will be wrong. So take almost our double time to actually go through them with them and explain them why it's not correct, why the AI suggestion shouldn't be taken. So I would say AI is a good tool for people who know how to use it and who has the experience and knowledge, but could be very misleading for junior lawyers or clients who don't really know. So I had a mixed feeling about it. We're still learning how to use the AI. We need to use AI wisely, but on the other hand, we shouldn't lose our judgment, especially for professionals. That's why I feel like I see the trend. Firm like us, we didn't have any layoff during this process. Instead, we actually try to have some tedious, redundant work to do to handled by AI, but to train our associate more smartly. We get them in the big picture first and let them get familiar with the core thing that they should understand in advising the clients. I think that way the younger lawyer can grow faster and more professionally without doing too much tedious work. So I think it really depends on how you use it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have all heard the cases of attorneys who probably aren't familiar with exactly what you're talking about, that just trying to take a shortcut, and they put something out and actually submit it to court that has hallucinations. That's like the worst case scenario. But a couple of things you were mentioning, I think really interesting, and just like tying threads into other conversations I've had, pros and cons of your clients. Like, you can have a more informed client. That's great. On the other hand, we don't want the clients to start thinking that they can replace your years of expertise and all the nuance and context that you have that they won't have, in thinking, well, the AI is telling me this, but you're telling me this. It's like, right. But I know what questions to ask, and I have a lot more knowledge of this process than the AI has. Like, you're limited to your prompts. So that can work that way. And then in terms of the associates using it, one of the things that comes up a lot is, because I work with businesses on these things, it's like a lot of it comes down to the human, where it's not just about helping somebody with a system. It's also making sure that the adoption is in place across the team, so everybody knows how to use it and use it correctly. So it's absolutely really well said.
Yeah. And the resource, I think, will be most important. Like AI, for example, big model, they kind of, if you ask, for example, Japanese, then they source a lot of Japanese articles and give you an answer. And if you source in English, their sources are different. But if you see the conclusion could from all different type of articles, and you don't know whether those articles are reliable. Those articles could from big companies, big firms, and they could make mistakes. So
Right.
people should still stay with their own judgments instead of follow AI's instructions.
Right. Saves time, but it doesn't replace what you went to law school for. That's for sure.
Yeah.
What are maybe some specific way you said you are using it in the firm? What are some specific applications that you're using in terms of is it for document review or drafting or legal research, or what would you say?
Yeah. I think personally, I tried a lot of different models, but currently our firm use a cloud and Harvey. There are other tools that keep on coming up. So like we didn't like fix us in one model. But I think one most important thing for us is security. So lawyers, we require different levels of security. So we don't usually just like, put any confidential information when we ask questions. Yeah. So like a professional legal AI, they take care of that part better than, general big model.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, people have to be careful about that. In law, in medicine, with HIPAA, you can get the $20 plan and select the option to say, don't submit this publicly for training the model, but that is not the same level of security that you need for what you do. Yeah, so that's very important. What would you say that you're most you could say both, either concerned with or optimistic about or excited about even for where this technology is moving in your field over the next number of years?
It's hard to say. I think at this stage, I'm pretty optimistic because I think they release the people from tedious work a lot. On the other hand, it sometimes mislead even lawyers or experienced lawyers to a certain extent, which take us longer time to, I do have one experience by myself that, I ran the AI, they gave me like 12 suggestions. And at the end, I just felt like two of the points that doesn't really make sense. So I still research it, do a lot of research, and then cross-check with another tool, and take me almost an hour to figure that out. And turned out to be it's just nonsense. But it's not very easy to tell nonsense. So like if I myself look at that document, I don't think I'm gonna spot it at all. So there's a learning process for everybody. So
Yes.
I'm being optimistic in comparing with the time they saved me on, perfect my language, in sending some emails, adjusting my tone, everything. AI can do a very good job in saving my time. Also formatting, for example, like lawyers, we are pretty strict on formatting. And then now if you use it well, it's can be resolved by AI very quickly. But in 5 years, I trust that they're going to understand people better. I think another tool will come out, for example, like how you track the resources. Like if you have this conclusion wrong, the problem right now is that I don't know where it's wrong. For example, I give AI a prompt, but they give me a conclusion which is not correct. Well, why is it, incorrect? Is that the resources wrong, or the law they check was not updated enough, or something? But if you have when human beings do it, for example, before we check the law, and then after the law, based on which law, then we draw this conclusion, and with this conclusion or this case, this is my advice. So you can go back and track. But if AI just give you a conclusion, it's not good enough, and you have to check each of the resources. If some of the resources are not reliable, it's just gonna you have to keep tracking. So I feel like this part of gap will in the future be resolved by different, improvement in this technology. I think it can help. But how AI develop, I think a human being's judgment, whatever you based on your experience, how you understand it, how you interpret it, and how you apply to a transaction. That's still like a human being's capability. Clients wanted to listen to real lawyer who can take responsibility to advise them instead of, rely on AI. We don't know who's going to be responsible for them. And you don't really know whether the resources are reliable. I think that part is very hard to be replaced. So in general, I'm still optimistic for now.
Yes, yeah, and I agree. That's not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah.
What would you say, kind of pivoting back to your firm, a little bit of a deeper dive? What would you say that you do extraordinarily well that maybe sets you apart from other business attorneys in your sector?
I think my firm is very solution focused, and we are very cost effective because you need to know who you are talking with. So we talk with startup founders. They don't really have money at the beginning. They need lawyers can give them quick advice, give them a general picture, very knowledgeable, but not too much into, for example, you ask me one question, I give you an 8 pages memo, that type of lawyer. And I know what you should do. I can talk like a real person, not only as a lawyer, but also like your strategic partner can help you grow.
Yes.
So that's our role. I feel like, that's a reason we left the big firm and start this firm. It's because big firms sometimes, like one meeting, it could cost, thousands of dollars. But for startup, even $500 matters, and because in law practice, unavoidable, you have labor law attorney, you have tax law attorney, you have general corporate attorney. Each one has their own expertise. So talking about responsibility again, like you don't want to have liabilities. So everybody's very cautious. But one call could cost the startup founder a lot of money. So for a boutique firm, we are more flexible. We know what they want. So in certain circumstances, if you more want to dive into with most expertise lawyer to advise you, I will tell you, yes, you should look for that lawyer to give you advice. But here is a general picture. So that's already sufficient for a lot of startup founders. So we are very responsive, very promptly to their request, give them reasonable price and help them grow. Once they grow, everything will be, very different. So, and also talking about cross-border, all our lawyers speak at least 2 to 3 languages. So we speak with, people from very different backgrounds from, Europe, Asia, in Middle East. Everybody have very different background. And when you that background, you understand them better. You feel like, for example, when I used to practice in Hong Kong, we have our local, standard practice precedents, everything. So I know how people think about it. So when they ask question, you know why they ask the question. That's set the difference when people don't only have one single background. They don't really know why they ask this strange question. They can't under. Yeah. So that sets us apart.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's an intangible, but it's a massive, very powerful intangible. Absolutely. So you left the big firms. You have your own boutique firm. What would you say is your stage of growth right now for the firm, and where are you looking to get to in the next 12 months or so?
I think currently we are pretty stable. We are growing in a very lucky period. So since we started, the client really like our quality combination with cost. So we grow very stably growing up. Now it's in a very stable and steadily growing period. Not like a growing like at the beginning, all of a sudden, grows 2 times, 3 times, not that kind of pretty stable and growing every year. In the next 12 months, I think the same. Currently, I think the economic activities are very active. so we never run out of work to do. The whole firm is very busy. On the other hand, like we still a small team, and that's how much clients we can handle. We wanted to keep our rate low, the same time, efficient. But there's to a certain degree, you still need to focus on train our own team, make sure our lawyers have a balanced life instead of, only work and without life.
Yes.
So we wanted to have a happy work environment for our employees too.
Right. It is really interesting to hear how much that's become a common theme amongst attorneys that have left larger firms to do a more boutique model. And that comes up a lot, just because turnover is a big factor within the field. So it makes a lot of sense that people are much more conscious now about having some sort of balance. So, working hard, but not just being all consuming, and burnout can take its toll. So, really good.
Like a firm reunion, you make everybody feel very different,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Ruming, I have a magic wand question, which is, if you had a hypothetical magic wand you could just wave and fix any challenge or constraint that you're experiencing in the business, what would that be?
I hope like we can totally, have a good tool, can be a reliable source. Like we can use our expertise and experience on the most correct place and take most effective of our brain and experience and work instead of like wasting our time on tedious work. That's really, what we want. Yeah.
Yes. Good. Yeah. Well, that ties in well with the with the whole technological efficiency conversation. That's great.
So you want to be reliable. Yeah.
Yes. So where I like to really wrap up these conversations is, we've talked about your expertise and your background. We've talked about technology and where that's fitting into the overall picture of the industry, and talked about your firm with growth. But I always like to bring it back to the human, which is, what is your big why, aside from just wanting to be an effective and successful lawyer? What's your big why for doing what you do every day?
I think that bring me the excitement, and I myself really like technologies. So whenever there's a new product coming out, I want to try it. I can't help myself. And like when my kids start growing, whenever I see technology like toys, I just can't help myself and buy it. So like that's part of my life and work, because I'm interacting with founders who are tech savvy. So like every day they're going to tell me, oh, I have this idea can resolve this problem. That itself for me is very exciting. And I feel like I'm learning new things every day.
Right.
So this gave me a, different, a lot of people feel like, they said there's a survey, like over 90% of the lawyers don't want to be lawyers because lawyers feel like serious and, the tedious long contract to review. It seems like always, the dark part of being a lawyer. But for my work, I really feel like interacting with my clients and learn what they do, how they resolve problems, how they help the community, how they promote, the good things they want to promote. That's all very inspiring to me. So for me, it's not really just being a lawyer. It's what we can do to make our community better, to make our life better and people happier. So I think that's the biggest part that encouraged me to continue my work. My husband even asked me, like, when you want to retire? I said, I'm not sure whether I actually want to retire.
Yeah.
Oh my God, very fun. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I love it. That's great. For people that are interested in learning more about the firm, or to contact you for a consultation or anything, what's the best way to reach you?
Probably email. My email is my full name, LIURUMING, and at MagStoneLaw.com.
Okay, great. I'll also put that in the description, so make sure we have that. Thank you so much for today. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Same here. Thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate it.